Chapter 8, Part 4, Paths of Light and Darkness, Scenes 823 to 828. Introduction, Standing at the Crossroads of Eternity.
Scene. As the dialogue deepens, Arjuna's gaze is lifted from personal duty to cosmic law. He has heard Krishna describe Brahma's vast day and night, the endless cycles of creation and dissolution, and the supreme abode beyond time itself. Now Krishna brings the teaching to a sharper edge. The soul, after death, walks along one of two eternal paths. One leads to freedom, the other to return. This is not about chance, but about consciousness, devotion, and the choices made in life.
Then, in the Vedic tradition, the sages spoke of two pathways, the Arke Marga, path of light, and the Duma Marga, path of smoke or darkness. The path of light is associated with fire, day, bright fortnights, and the northern course of the sun, symbols of clarity and liberation. The soul traveling this path does not return, it merges with the eternal. The path of darkness is linked to smoke, night, dark fortnights, and the southern course of the sun, symbols of ignorance and bondage. The soul traveling this way returns again into birth and death. These were not merely astronomical speculations, but profound metaphors for consciousness. For Arjuna, facing the possibility of death on the battlefield, this teaching is no longer abstract. He must know what happens when the body falls, and how should he live to ensure the higher path.
Now, for us too, this vision carries urgency. Though modern science has mapped galaxies and explored atoms, it cannot tell us what happens to consciousness after death. The Gita dares to answer. The two paths Krishna describes are not superstition, but symbols of the choices we make every day. Every decision moves us toward clarity, or toward confusion, toward liberation, or toward bondage. When we choose integrity, service, mindfulness, and devotion, we align with the path of light. When we choose selfishness, ignorance, and distraction, we align with the path of darkness. Death does not create destiny, it reveals the momentum of life.
This wisdom reshapes how we live. Death is not the end but a doorway, and the path taken depends on how we have trained the mind. Just as water flows where it has been channeled, the soul flows at death toward what it has loved, remembered, and pursued in life. The Gita is radical here. Liberation is not about rituals or chants, but about remembrance and devotion. Every moment becomes rehearsal for the final passage.
Krishna assures Arjuna that the yogi who remembers him does not fear these paths. Anchored in devotion, such a soul is carried on the path of light to the supreme abode. This transforms how we face mortality, not with denial, but with preparation, not with fear, but with trust.
Focus. The essence of this section is choice. Life is the field where we align with light or darkness. Every act, every thought, every devotion shapes the path. Live with clarity and devotion, and the final journey becomes liberation. Scene 823, the two eternal paths.
Scene. Krishna declares, "Now I shall explain to you, O Arjuna, the times of departure of yogis, which determine whether they return or not."
Then, Krishna introduces the great mystery of departure. Yogis at the time of death depart by different paths, and these determine whether they return to rebirth or reach liberation. This is not about astrology or superstition, but about the law of consciousness. The yogi whose awareness is illumined departs by one path. The one still veiled departs by another. For Arjuna, this is immensely practical. He faces death not as theory, but as possibility. Krishna now reveals how to face it with confidence.
Now, we too need this wisdom. In our age, death is often hidden away, yet Krishna insists we face it directly. How we live determines how we die, and how we die shapes what follows. The two paths are not only post-mortem routes, but present choices. When we cultivate clarity, devotion, and steady awareness, we prepare for the path of light. When we live scattered and selfish, we prepare for the path of darkness. The teaching is sobering, yet empowering. It means destiny is not random, it is shaped now.
Focus. The two eternal paths are shaped by life's choices. Death is not accident, but revelation. Live with clarity, and you walk the path of light. Scene 8.24, the path of light.
Scene. Krishna explains, fire, light, day, the bright fortnight, the 6 months of the northern course of the sun, those who depart in these, knowing Brahman, go to the supreme.
Then, Krishna describes the path of light, symbolized by fire, radiance, day, the waxing moon, and the northern course of the sun. These symbols point to clarity, illumination, and spiritual ascent. The yogi who departs in such awareness, filled with remembrance of Brahman, reaches the Supreme and does not return. For Arjuna, this path is not about waiting for celestial timing, but about living in light. The one whose inner fire burns steadily departs on the path of freedom.
Now, these symbols guide us too. Fire represents inner discipline, light represents awareness, day symbolizes clarity, the bright fortnight suggests growing devotion, and the northern course points to upward aspiration. To live in the path of light is to live in alignment with these qualities: clarity, growth, discipline, and devotion. The final departure then reflects the life lived. The yogi's mind, trained in light, naturally rises toward the eternal. For us, this path means cultivating habits of mindfulness, service, and devotion daily, so that death becomes liberation, not fear.
Focus. The path of light is lived daily. Cultivate clarity, discipline, and devotion now, and the final departure leads to the Supreme. Scene 825, the path of darkness.
Scene. Krishna explains, smoke, night, the dark fortnight, the 6 months of the southern course of the sun, those who depart in these, the yogi reaches the lunar light and returns.
Then, Krishna contrasts the earlier vision with the path of darkness. Its symbols smoke, night, the waning moon, the sun's southern course represent obscurity, decline, and return to bondage. The yogi departing in this state does not reach liberation but journeys to the realm of ancestors and returns again to earthly life. For Arjuna, this is sobering. The battlefield may lead many to death, but their destiny depends not on weapons or timing, but on the consciousness carried at the final breath.
Now, these images still resonate for us. Smoke clouds clarity, night hides vision, the waning moon suggests decline, and the southern path points downward. In modern life, this is the path of ignorance, distraction, and attachment. When we live with scattered minds, clouded judgment, and selfish motives, we walk this path. Even rituals and achievements without awareness cannot free us. The path of darkness is not punishment, but consequence. When the inner lamp is neglected, the soul returns to rebirth.
Focus. The path of darkness is the path of ignorance. Live in confusion and attachment, and you return. Light the inner lamp, and you transcend. Scene 826, Two Ways Forever.
Scene. Krishna says, these two paths of light and darkness are considered eternal. By one, the yogi goes and does not return. By the other, he returns again.
Then, Krishna summarizes the teaching. The two paths are eternal, woven into the law of existence. The path of light leads to liberation and no return. The path of darkness leads back to rebirth. For Arjuna, this clarity is decisive. Life and death are not random but governed by these eternal ways. Krishna gives him assurance. If his devotion is steady, he will not be trapped by darkness.
Now, this teaching is timeless. Every generation, every culture faces the same two paths: light or darkness, wisdom or ignorance, liberation or bondage. Even today, we see these choices in daily life. Acts of clarity, compassion, and devotion align with light. Acts of greed, ignorance, and fear align with darkness. These paths are not chosen only at death, but walked every day. Krishna reminds us that destiny is shaped now in each decision.
Focus. The two paths are eternal. Every thought and action moves you toward light or darkness. Choose consciously. Scene 827. The yogi need not fear.
Scene. Krishna assures, knowing these two paths, O Arjuna, the yogi is not deluded. Therefore, O Arjuna, be steadfast in yoga at all times.
Then Krishna comforts Arjuna. The yogi who understands these two paths no longer fears death. Knowledge dispels confusion, and devotion secures the path of light. For Arjuna, this is empowering. He need not worry about celestial timings or external conditions. His refuge is yoga, steadfast union with Krishna. With this, he is assured of freedom.
Now, this reassurance echoes for us too. Many fear death because it seems uncertain. Krishna replaces fear with clarity. When we live in devotion, we need not fear which path will open. Awareness itself ensures the higher path. This teaching liberates us from superstition. Life need not be ruled by calendars or astrological conditions, but by steady yoga devotion, mindfulness, and surrender.
Focus. The yogi need not fear. Steadfastness in yoga ensures freedom, regardless of time or condition. Scene 8.28, surpassing the fruits of rituals.
Scene, Krishna concludes, the yogi who knows this surpasses the fruits of study, austerity, and sacrifice. He attains the supreme, ancient abode.
Then Krishna crowns the teaching. The yogi who lives in awareness of these paths and chooses devotion transcends the limited fruits of rituals, austerities, and sacrifices. While these have value, they remain bound by cycles. Devotion, however, carries the soul beyond cycles into the eternal abode. For Arjuna, this redefines religion itself. The goal is not rituals or rewards, but union with the eternal.
Now, this lesson reorients our spiritual lives. In our world, many chase rituals, achievements, or even spiritual merit as transactions. Krishna reveals that true yoga is beyond transaction. It is devotion, awareness, and surrender that lift us beyond cycles. This makes liberation universal. Anyone, householder, student, worker, warrior, can surpass rituals if they live in devotion. The supreme abode is not earned, but embraced in surrender.
Focus. Devotion surpasses all rituals. The yogi who lives in awareness reaches Krishna's supreme abode, beyond cycles. Closing summary paths of light and darkness.
Scene. As the dialogue of chapter 8 comes to a close, Krishna gathers all threads into one final revelation. The battlefield is still silent, yet Arjuna's mind is now filled with the vision of vast cosmic cycles, the eternal self, and the journey of the soul at death. Krishna brings him to the crossroads every soul must face, the two eternal paths, one of light and one of darkness.
Then Krishna begins by declaring that yogis depart along different ways, which determine whether they return to rebirth or attain liberation, scene 8.23. He first describes the path of light, scene 8.24, symbolized by fire, radiance, the bright fortnight of the moon, and the northern course of the sun. It represents clarity, discipline, and devotion. The yogi who departs in such awareness does not return, but reaches the supreme. Then Krishna contrasts it with the path of darkness, scene 8.25, symbolized by smoke, night, the waning moon, and the southern course of the sun. It represents ignorance, decline, and bondage. The yogi departing in this state returns again to earthly life.
Krishna summarizes the two ways, scene 8.26. Both are eternal. One leads to freedom, the other to return. This clarity frees the yogi from confusion. He assures Arjuna that knowing these paths, the yogi need not fear death, scene 8.27. Steadfastness in yoga ensures liberation, regardless of time or condition. Finally, Krishna crowns the teaching, scene 8.28. The yogi who understands these truths surpasses the fruits of rituals, austerities, and sacrifices, attaining the supreme abode beyond cycles.
For Arjuna, this is liberation of mind even before battle. He now sees death not as an end, but as a passage shaped by devotion. His choice is clear: to live and act in yoga so that his final journey aligns with the path of light. Now, for us today, these teachings carry profound relevance. We too stand daily at crossroads of light and darkness. Every decision, every thought, every action tilts us toward clarity or confusion. The path of light is not about waiting for cosmic timings, but about living in discipline, devotion, and mindfulness now. Fire represents inner focus, day represents clarity, the bright fortnight represents growth, and the northern course represents aspiration. To live in this path is to live consciously, aligning daily life with the eternal.
The path of darkness is equally present. Smoke represents confusion, night represents ignorance. The waning moon represents decline, and the southern path represents downward pull. When we live scattered, attached, or selfish, we walk this path. Krishna reminds us, death does not create destiny, it reveals the momentum of life. The final thought at death is simply the fruit of the thoughts we nurture daily.
This wisdom also dissolves fear. Many live in anxiety about death, timing, or astrological conditions. Krishna assures us that devotion transcends all. The yogi who remembers him need not fear which path opens, for devotion itself secures liberation. This liberates us from superstition and focuses us on practice. Steady yoga, steady remembrance, steady surrender.
Most beautifully, Krishna redefines religion. Rituals, austerities, and sacrifices have value, but they remain within cycles. Only devotion, single-pointed and sincere, carries the soul beyond return. This democratizes liberation. It is not the privilege of priests or ascetics, but the birthright of all who love and remember the divine. A parent caring for children, a worker serving honestly, a student studying with integrity, all can walk the path of light when life is lived as offering.
Focus. The essence of Chapter 8, Part 4 is this: life itself is rehearsal for death, and every act moves you toward light or darkness. The path of light is not about cosmic timings, but about daily clarity, devotion, and discipline. The path of darkness is the neglect of awareness. Knowing these paths, the yogi is free from fear. Devotion surpasses all rituals and carries the soul to Krishna's supreme abode. Choose the path of light now, and your final journey will be liberation.